Good afternoon. My name is Debbie Dobbs, and I'm here this afternoon to discuss contingency theory. Objectives are to describe the definition of contingency theory, analyze the criticisms, and apply the contingency theory to their work environment. Contingency means that it is defined as an alternate plan that's put into effect when strategic assumptions are changed quickly or if performance is not as anticipated. It is most frequently associated with leadership. Successful leaders change leadership style depending on what is going on the situation, and the people involved. And they're able to change strategies in response to changes in the environment, such as political, social, and economic situations. In support of the theory, I'd like to give a couple of examples from my experience that I think you will find interesting. In the early 2000s, we began to have a huge spike in admissions to our NICU of babies who were born addicted to drugs. Our census practically doubled overnight. We just didn't have enough space to put them. The NICU was overflowing. They began so that everyone had to get together and try to figure out how to deal with this. They had to come up with a contingency plan. They prepared rooms on the patient floors, ordered and leased equipment, rented it, scheduled PRN staff. We reorganized and reoriented some of our other staff to take care of these babies, and eventually built a unit there. They had to come up with a plan. It was successful. It was hairy, but it worked. In the early 1990s, I believe it was, or mid 1990s, it was about 1994, Tennessee took their Medicaid program and converted it into a managed care system called TennCare. This was done by administering the plan through the private sector. It was done by insurance companies such as Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Healthcare. There were several others. A few years ago, we had an incident at Children's where one company dropped out of the TennCare business, and all of those patients were moved to another insurance company with which we did not have as good of a contract for the year. And their reimbursements were very much lower than what we were used to getting from this other company. I don't know how much of you know that NICU is a huge moneymaker from the hospital, right under peri-op services, and so it was going to have a huge financial impact. The contingency plan that our leadership came up with is to really curtail expenses. They created a kind of a marketplace where we had to go, not a marketplace, but a oversight where the VPs met weekly. We had to create a request to even order our minor equipment. Positions had to be requested, even if they were budgeted, and the VPs met weekly to prioritize to make sure that our patients had what they needed. Some of the opposing views is that you read in different ones is they say that contingency only applies to a very small percentage of the organization's overall performance, and that it's too managerial and ideologically based and not a theory at all, but an orientation strategy. Some of the weaknesses is it can be unsuccessful due to poor planning. One of the most recent reminders is FEMA's response during Hurricane Katrina. During Hurricane Katrina, at the time, FEMA's procedure was to not deploy assistance or supplies until after the disaster had happened. As a result of that, thousands of people in Louisiana and Mississippi were stranded without food, water, and shelter for several days before getting any relief. They've learned from that lesson, and during this week's Hurricane Matthew, they started sending out supplies and troops and setting up shelters before the hurricane actually made landfall. And it really, truly depends on the believability and the communication skills of the leader. They have to be able to let and make the staff believe what they are doing is going to work. In summary, we know that healthcare environment today is plagued with change. We have to be able to recognize the threats and develop plans and strategies to be able to stay viable and financially secure. We're going to have to continually scan our environment and then use training and planning to meet those changes as they occur. In summary, this quote that is from a book that I read called Designed to Adapt, and it says, while the ultimate consequences are unknown, the one thing is certain. The world in which medicine and surgery are practiced and healthcare institutions are managed is rapidly changing in complex and in unpredictable ways. For this reason, and this reason alone, we must look at contingencies and be aware of what's going on in our environment. Thank you very much for your attention, and this is my reference list.